We are here for a concert to perform tomorrow at the Students' Field in Shillong for the Kasi Jaitiya Presbyterian Assembly Foreign Missions fundraising concert. So we essentially came a day early. You know, I always like to make the best use of my time. You know, I don't like to waste the opportunity whenever an opportunity comes through. And so I asked Ashan, can I do something on this evening? And then he's the one who contacted. And I want to thank the principal and the committee for giving this time. And thank you students for coming. What's the point of organizing an event if you're on vacation, right? So thank you for being here with for this evening. So before I have to set up the guitar and things, so you can watch a short video, and the first video, it is a course that we run called the Apologetics Discipleship Training School, and hopefully once you're done with your studies, you can come and do this course. It's a brilliant 5-month course with Youth with a Mission, and we have 6 weeks of discipleship, 5 weeks of apologetics, and then 8 weeks of outreach. And it's a life transforming course. We have seen so many lives being transformed. So many people have found their calling because they did not know what to do with life. You know, just education is not complete without a calling. If you just study for the sake of studying without knowing what to do, you are clueless. There are people who have done medicine in our country, finished MBBS, and running a business because they don't know what to do. So it's so important for us to know what is God's call, and I'm going to share about that from the Word and from our lives. So we're going to do 2 songs. One, my wife and I will start off with that, and then in the end I will play a song on the pamphlet. So just play the video, please.
We come on Sunday with a 15-minute workout at 6:30 a.m. I'm related that physical fitness is a part of our lifestyle here.
I've been a flight attendant for past 10 years and I've never had a disciplined quiet time. And even when I had one, I never took down notes. After joining ABTS, I've learned to have a disciplined and structured quiet time, taking notes as the Lord speaks to me on a daily basis.
As a medical doctor, I struggled to believe the Bible as God's inspiration. I chose what to believe and ignored the rest of the Bible. The ABTS taught me about historical and external evidences supporting the Bible's event, which enhanced my belief that God inspired me.
We have amazing teachers who have a lot of practical experience. The beauty of the lectures is that it's not just about the content, but also the practical approach of how we can apply it.
Salvation are essential for all individuals, regardless of their socio-economic status or level of education. Amidst the complexities of urban life, the gospel provides healing, reconciliation, and a path to abundant life. Here at the Apologetics DTS, we empower people from the marketplaces who have taken 5 months off from their lucrative careers to get equipped intellectually and rationally and to reason things out and defend their beliefs.
I avoided faith-based conversations out of fear of not knowing the answers. ADTS helped me understand diverse faiths and their belief systems, which strengthened my reasoning about why and what I believe.
My character and lifestyle in the corporate world were indisciplined. Coming here has improved my time management and moral discipline. I used to spend 8 to 10 hours on social media daily. Now, I barely spend an hour on my days off.
I've never maintained a journal in my whole life. The Apologetics DTS at Chai 316 helped me to creatively summarize my week in the form of a journal. And this has been one of the highlights for me at ABTS.
The Apologetics DTS challenged me to examine my motives in the field of passion. I've learned the significance of hearing God's voice in aligning creativity and faith while upholding modesty and ethics.
I have done my Master of Theology in the Department of Communication. A lot of my training was academic. When it came to communicating the gospel in the urban context, especially with today's culture, I found it hard to dialogue with the youth. During the Apologetics DTS, especially during the week on dialogical apologetics, I learned the art of building bridges and finding common ground to communicate the gospel.
Every afternoon, we have a dedicated time of more than an hour of question and answers with our teachers. It is indeed one of the highlights of ADTS.
The majority of the time, after a while, we forget what we learned in class. On the other hand, we have evening mock debates that provide an organized environment where students may practice their arguments, develop their critical thinking abilities, and learn empathy by role-playing hypothetical situations.
Having taught in every ADTS batch, I can attest that the training convinces participants that their jobs are equally important as church leadership. I see this as a valuable investment, fostering the perspective among young Christian professionals that their job is a calling from God. I strongly urge every Christian in the workplace to consider doing the ADTS.
Every Saturday at 4:30 p.m., we host an open mic session that supports artistic expressions and conversations with the local community.
And now we're going to do the song Waymaker. And I love jazz music, even though I'm not a trained musician, but I really enjoy jazz, and it's a bit complex, and so we did this song with a jazz influence, so I hope you enjoy this song.
You
passage that was read to us was from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, a very familiar passage, which if you have been through Sunday school, you would have memorized it. But the question is, does God really have a plan? You know, the Bible says that, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." You know, most of you, if you have come from a Christian home, especially here in the Northeast, it is very common to have Christianity as part of your lifestyle. You know, it's a cultural thing to go to church. It's a cultural thing to believe in Jesus, at least from the head and from a family perspective. But I'm not sure if you really truly believe that Jesus is your Lord. You know, the word Lord, when you say somebody is my Lord, you are telling that I am your slave. I am your slave. So can that really be our conviction is the question. And in fact, I remember getting an email from, I think it was those days, it was a Facebook message, I think, from someone, one of the students from Shillong, writing to me saying, "Benny, I heard your sermon, but I think that Jesus is a concept that our parents created to put in our heads so that we will have some kind of a figure that we can be fearful of and something that can put us back in track." And I don't know what is your understanding about God. And sometimes probably God is a character who is too strict, who is outdated to our present day modern world. Probably God is someone who has too many rules and regulations that can steal away the joy of your life. And again, being in a beautiful institution like this, Christianity can be part of your lifestyle, but not necessarily part of your conviction. Now, I grew up in a Christian family back home in Bangalore. My father and my mother both were devout Christians, but in their own religious, ritualistic lifestyle. My mom was much more stronger in her faith. My father was much more a ritualistic Christian. And my father is an aerospace scientist, and me being the firstborn in the family, I was expected to become like him. And my mother was the assistant director of FIBA Radio, which was a Christian radio station. So I was expected to academically grow like my father and spiritually grow like my mother. And I was a disaster in both the fields. And being the firstborn, you're always compared. You always have to be the role model of the family. And I was the black sheep. And I was really the black sheep. I was even dark in color. So I was really, really the black sheep of the family. And I struggled with identity, struggled with questions. And I don't know if you even ask questions. Is God really valid for our 21st, 22nd modern century? Is it really something that is valuable for us to have Jesus? Probably you might read the Bible for the sake of ticking the box. If your mom and dad ask, did you read the Bible? Yes. Just open the Bible somewhere, read it. So I've done my duty. Coming to church, a duty. But is there a conviction that drives you inside? I struggled. I couldn't believe that God was someone who is loving like what people would preach and teach. Now, I was the firstborn in the family, as I told you. I have a younger brother and 3 sisters. They were smart, good-looking, talented. They were really good. I was the odd guy in the family. I was very odd. Even now I'm odd. Very odd in everything, from my hair, to the way I dress, to the way I post things on Facebook and Instagram. I have my own unique style, and people know now their value, and they say, wow, this is Benny's unique style. But I struggled. I struggled growing up in the family. And yet there is this beautiful verse that I had to memorize. For I know the plans I have for you. What plans? Is God really so precious to us? Is Jesus really someone that you value a lot? You know, when you value someone, you are willing to go to any extreme. Like when I was in Bible college, 1992, you know, it was a very strict Bible college where boys and girls hardly got to meet. The only time we got to meet was in the classroom. And yet, and you know, we were not allowed to talk to each other. In the midst of that, 30% of the Bible college was into relationships. And the first Saturday, boys will go out, girls will stay. Second Saturday, girls will go out, boys will stay. Sunday, boys will use the public bus, whereas girls will use the college bus. So everything was done for us not to meet each other. But yet, you know, when somebody loves somebody, they're willing to go through any extreme danger to pass on one small letter to tell the girl or a boy that they are valuable to them. See, that is, whether you call that true love, I don't know, but at that point it was true love. But, you know, when you look at God, do you really love God in that manner, is my question. And is it worth loving God in that manner? See, you would love someone if they mean to you. Is that true? You would love someone if they are precious to you. If you love someone, you would want to at least send a WhatsApp note or just a quick call. If you love your mom and dad, you will make sure that before the end of the day, you will at least say, "Hello mommy, how are you doing? How are you?" If you don't love, then you would block their numbers, right? Or you would just use two different numbers or two different phones. One phone remains at the house and one phone you carry with you. The ones who are precious, they are in your phone that you carry always. The ones who are not precious, they are in the phone where you don't care about it. But this is very common. My question is, what is the role of Jesus in your life? Does he play an important part in your life? Or is it just someone that you grew up being part of a Christian household and you just pray for the sake of it? But does that make a difference? Now, coming back to this, here, the verse, Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11, first thing it says is that God knows the plan. He knows the plan for your life. That was shocking for me. Because I'm a high school dropout. You know, my 10th standard, I could not continue. I struggled because I studied in a Hindi medium school. English was not there in my school except as a subject. Everything was in Hindi. Geography was in Hindi, history was in Hindi, economics was in Hindi. Thankfully, English was in English. Other than that, everything else was in Hindi. So I struggled growing up in a school system like that. And then when it came to 10th standard, I failed in Hindi. I failed from 2nd standard all the way till 10th standard, I failed. And you know what would happen if you don't even have a 10th standard certificate, a pass certificate. What is your future? You have no future. No future at all. So I'm a high school dropout, thrown out of school. My teachers told that they've never had a single failure, and I was going to create history by being the first ever failure of the school. You see, I'm an odd guy. Today I have history by breaking the world record, but you know, my history started out by being the first ever failure of the school. They didn't want me. I went to church, nobody would sit next to me. unless that's the only seat left. Otherwise, nobody would sit next to me because I was this odd guy, no talents, nothing. I was the most hopeless person in school. Not good in education, not good in music, not good in talking, not good in anything. And that was my condition. And here, Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, God has a plan for me. I said, what plan? And on top of that, medically, I was given 6 months to live because of wrong medication that was given to me from the age of 2. So I suffered with a lot of medical problems. So by 16, the doctors gave me 6 months to live, saying that you will die in 6 months. I don't think you'll survive any further. So tell me, dear friends, why would you want to live when you are a failure in school, failure at home, failure in church? You have no talents, you are hopeless, you have no future, and now the doctor says that you will die in 6 months. Why? Does God really mean much during the situation? So I almost became an atheist. I just didn't believe that God was fair. And during that time, I went to a youth camp, a Christian youth camp. I was not interested. It was just that, just to please my mother, I went. And on the second day, I heard the audible voice of Jesus Christ. And mind you, I was not interested in God. I thought God is bogus. I thought God was unfair. God only loves certain people. He has his own favorites, and I'm not one of them. And I didn't believe. But on the second day, I heard the audible voice of Jesus Christ. Not an imaginative voice, okay? An audible voice. And Jesus spoke to me and said, Benny, even though you are called useless, I want you. But I said, why? You know I'm going to die in 6 months. You know that I am a high school dropout. I have no future. I have no friends. I have no value. I have no respect. Nothing. And he said, I have plans for you. Plans for what? You see, if you do well in studies, there is a plan. You have an education here. You have a plan. But I was nothing. And Jeremiah 29:11 says that God has a plan. I said, okay. I said, what do you want me to do? And Jesus said, you surrender your life and I will transform your life and make you a new person. I said, okay. I gave up the idea of killing myself. My plan was on the third day to run away to Goa and to die, to kill myself. And during that time, when I heard this voice of Jesus on the second day, I came back home, believed in Jesus. I'm still a high school dropout. You know, believing in Jesus does not make you 10th standard pass. You know, keeping the Bible under the pillow is not going to help you with your chemistry and physics and mathematics. Just because the exams are tomorrow, today you start reading 10 chapters is not going to help you. It has to be an ongoing daily basis, right? You see, like for example, the wrestler from India, Vinesh Phogat. I had an opportunity to meet her when I had to speak in Delhi. The whole family actually met. We were all together as speakers. And you see, on that day when she had to fight, she was overweight. And you can't just lose your weight just overnight. It takes time for doing things. Same thing with your life. You need to have this constant communication with Jesus. But it might be for some of you, Jesus is boring. Maybe it's just a tradition that I have to just keep following, but you don't have the conviction, right? And I was in that position. I was in the same boat. My friends, I can understand why you think Jesus is boring. Because some people have made Jesus look like he's boring. Might be some of you think that this is just something I like to enjoy. I like to party. I like to drink, dance, take drugs or whatever it is. It looks fascinating from a distance. And believing in Jesus and walking with Him is boring. But I'll tell you, I also felt and thought the same thing. Till the point I had an encounter with Jesus Christ. The moment I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ, I asked Jesus, what is your plan? Because He says that I know the plans. The Bible says that for I know the plans I have for you. Dear friends, God has a plan for each one of you. Whether you believe Him or not does not matter, but He has a plan for you. And my prayer is that you would have the conviction deep inside to believe, and it's not a boring thing. First thing, remember that God has a plan. Secondly, God's plans is for good. It's not, Jeremiah 29 says, it is not to harm you, to prosper you. It's a good plan. Sometimes we think that if I surrender my life to Jesus, it's just going to be a boring thing. It's just going to be like, what to do. If I'm going to become a born-again Christian or a practicing Christian, my life is going to be boring. That's a lie. At 16, when I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ, I asked Him what to do. I have a voice that sounds like a girl. So I was extremely ashamed of my voice. I was bullied in school from very, very young age. So I would never speak. And now I'm a dropout. So I don't have content to speak. Neither do I have the tone to speak. So you see, I could never speak in public. I was extremely ashamed, even just to tell good morning, because people used to make fun of me. But here, when my encounter with Jesus Christ came, Jesus says, I have plans for you. God has a plan for you. Friends, don't throw away God as the core essence in your life. So at 16, having nothing, I asked Jesus, what do you want to do with my life? What is your plan? It's a good idea to go back and ask God, what is the plan? One problem with the Northeast I see is they all study without a plan. That's the saddest part in Northeast. I don't know how you can study. People are doing PhD, still figuring out what to do with life. Very, very sad thing. You see, education is good as long as it equips you to becoming what you want to become. Otherwise, it's just a sheet of paper. That's it. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Like you want to become a journalist. What's the point of studying banking? You want to join the civil services, do political science or do something else that can help you in terms of what you want to become. You want to become a doctor, don't go and join commerce. That's not going to help you. You must have a plan. If you don't know where you are going, any road will take you there. Any direction seems to be the direction to the airport. You must have a vision, you must have a plan. Otherwise it's pointless. Just studying for the sake of studying is not going to help you. One of the most common occupations that I will ask when I ask young people, what have you studied? I finished my bachelor's, I finished my master's. What are you doing? Nothing. Nothing is number one occupation of the Northeast. But all of them have bachelor's or master's, but doing nothing. That's a disaster for the world of education. And I hope that you have a plan. Just don't take up some subject because it's available. No. Now I was talking, we run a cafe called Chai 316 in Bangalore, and a lot of young people come. And my favorite thing to ask young people is, what would you like to do with your life? I would tell them, don't think about your parents, don't think about your degrees, don't think about money. But if you want to do something in life, what is something that you're passionate at? So this guy said, I love writing. I love writing. I said, okay, what are you studying? He said, I'm studying BCom. I said, why are you studying BCom? I said, you should have taken BA journalism with English literature. That could have helped you. He said, yeah, I applied, but unfortunately the seats were not available. The only seat that was available was BCom. I said, okay. I said, you should have just waited for 1 year. The next year you could have applied. And you know what he said? He said, but 1 year is wasted. Now you're studying BCom for 3 years, that is not a waste. Right? You're sitting in a classroom, you're not passionate at. You don't like the subjects that you're studying. Don't you think that's a waste? Don't you think waiting for 1 more year, choosing your favorite course that will enhance your talents, enhance your qualities, enhance your calling is far better? But you see, in our Indian system, we don't think like that. As long as we are occupied, we think that we are in the safe place. That's why people can study for 10 to 15 years doing nothing. But our parents are very happy because we are attending classes. You know, young people, one thing that I've learned, one of the reasons why there is depression among young people is because they're sitting in the wrong classroom. Like this girl, she wanted to be a fighter pilot. I said, what are you studying? She said, commerce. I said, what is this to do with that? She says, my mother thinks that commerce is more safer than being in a fighter pilot. But you know, I want to tell you, young friends, you cannot throw your life away. You can do much more valuable things, precious things in this world. Remember, God has a plan for you. And He knows the plan for you. And secondly, He has a plan that is good for you, not to harm you, not boring plan. You know, when I accepted Jesus as my personal Savior, I had a clean slate. I went and joined the Bible college. I was just 17 years old. 19, I became a pastor. 21, carried on. But I said, God, what do you want me to do? What is your plan for my life? When I asked Jesus in 2001, I asked Jesus, what is your plan? And He said, Benny, my plan for you is to travel to every country by 2010. I said, no way. First question is, where will I get the money? Where will I get the money to travel? Why do we allow money to be a crucial decision maker? Many times, you see, we give the credit to money to make things in life. Where will I get the money to travel? I said, God, I have an Indian passport. How will I get visas? You know, excuses after excuses. But if you really believe that Jesus knows everything, your walk will be very different. So show the world map on the screen, please. Is it already up? Next time, wait till I tell you, please. Be obedient there. Huh? Don't overrun things, yes. And so this is my world map. And in fact, I wrote a book called Unthinkable. It is really unthinkable for me because I struggle to read and write. I like books where you have more pictures and less words. But during COVID, I had all the time in the world and I could write my first book called Unthinkable. It's 32 stories from 32 countries. Unthinkable things what God did in my life. In fact, at the end of our service, my wife will be there at the table and I'll also sign the books. I have some copies with me. Again, my books don't have a price. You decide what you want to give. And that is the principle that I've learned in my journey, is everything cannot just go with a price tag. So whatever you feel led to give, either cash or QR code or something that is there. But this book has the stories of what God could do with a broken life. And Jesus said, I'll take you to every country in the world. You see, His plans are good. Now this is my passport, one passport. Let me put this in order. You can see there are 16 books inside. This passport is the proof of how I traveled to 257 countries. I'm the fastest traveler in the history of mankind. Whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, whether you're a musician or not a musician, more than any human being on this earth, I have traveled the fastest in 6 years, 6 months and 22 days. And this is the plan God had for me. The plans I had for myself was to kill myself at the age of 16. The plans of the educational world was that, Benny, you are a failure, you are not fit for education, they threw me out of school. The plan that my music teacher said was, Benny, you have no qualities of music. So on the first day of music class, he said, don't come back again. And here, when I accepted Jesus as my personal Savior, knowing that He has a plan for me, I asked Jesus, what is your plan? And He said, I want you to travel to every country in the world. And you know what? Every country, all those lines, I paid my own ticket. I made a commitment that I will never ask for money or never borrow money. And God provided everything to travel to Antarctica, to travel to the North Pole, everywhere. See how good God's plan is. If we can learn to surrender our lives and our future. Dear friends, don't think that God is a hard taskmaster. Don't think that Jesus is a boring person. And don't only look at Jesus from a crisis point of view. He is amazing. If He could pick me from the darkness, from the pit, from even almost being suicidal, to putting me at a place, to giving me life. He has a beautiful plan for you. And lastly, Jeremiah says, God's plan gives us hope and a future. So beautiful. He has a plan for you, and His plans are good. And thirdly, His plans give you a hope and a future. Don't quit, dear friends. Don't take up things just for the sake of it. Life has so much more beauty than what this world can ever offer. Don't ever compromise with this world. Plans, He has plans to give you hope and a future. When I finished traveling to every country in the world, 2011, I went back to Jesus. And I said, God, what do you want me to do? Now, I've conquered the world. Every single country. My last country was South Sudan. It was 6 days old when I went to this country. And that's when Jesus said, Benny, I have a new plan for you. I want you to build a cafe called Chai 316. The next picture, please. So this is the cafe. If you ever come to Bangalore, come and visit this place called Chai 316. You can even find that on social media or on website chai316.com. And it's a state-of-the-art facility. It's a 400-seater cafe. It's not a commercial cafe. It's a cafe where we counsel young college students who are suicidal, depressed and lonely. Nowadays all kinds of people come, and it is just a fantastic place. You know, every week we rescue at least one young boy or a girl who is at the verge of committing suicide. But the building was about 5 crore rupees to build. So I asked Jesus, you gave me this plan to build a cafe. Where will I get the money? See, God is our provider. So I made a commitment. I will never ask for money. I will never borrow from anybody. I will not go and do fundraising events, nothing. I asked Jesus, how will you provide? He said, Benny, use your CDs. But don't put a price for the CDs. Let people decide the price. I will bless your CDs. But it was a time when CDs was fading out. It was becoming obsolete. But God said, I will bless it. You know, when God blesses it, even an outdated product becomes the in thing. And that's what happened. In 2 years, 5 crore rupees came from CD sales. But the CDs did not have a price. People decided whatever they wanted to give. And I was able to build this beautiful facility. And now we run this course called the Apologetics DTS, equipping people why we believe in Jesus. How can we communicate this love that we have found in Jesus to others? You see, Jesus is the only one who has the power to forgive our sins. I was a wretched person. I was a horrible person. And I was filled with anger. I was possessed with anger actually. One day when I had a fight with my brother, I was going to kill him with anger. And that's when my mother came in between and she said, before you kill your brother, kill me first. And that's when I took the brick and I put it down. I was possessed with anger. I was a horrible guy. I was looking for photographs of my childhood for my book. Oh my goodness, all the photographs were horrible. Not one photograph I was smiling properly in my young adult days. I was a horrible guy. But you see what Jesus could do with all these things. Don't throw your life away to your friends. He has a plan for you. His plans are good. And those plans are filled with hope and a future. As I close to play a song on the pan flute, this is a beautiful instrument, mainly played in European countries like Romania, Moldova, or in South American countries like Peru, Ecuador, and it's a very soothing, romantic instrument. Today, one of the common questions young people ask me is about falling in love. That's the number one topic. Because it's just become so accessible to fall in love with a boy or a girl. And today with social media and WhatsApp and everything, you can just spend your whole night in your room texting and doing all these things, that your whole emotions is gone. So they would ask me, when you were 19, how did you handle your relationship with the opposite sex? And I told them that when I was 19 was the first time a girl, I was in the Bible college, a girl came and told me that she liked me. Imagine, in a strict Bible college, this beautiful girl came and she expressed that she liked me. In those days when somebody said they liked you, it meant that they are in love with you. Okay, and I grew up in a very conservative family, and the school I went to was also conservative. It was like the Pentecostal church. Girls sat on the left side, boys sat on the right side. This was in the Kendra Vidyalaya school. And the worst punishment was when a boy was troublesome in the class, was rebellious in the class, the boy would be placed in between two girls. And that's the ultimate punishment. Those days, not now, but those days that was the thing. That's the only time even the worst of the worst guys would say, I'm sorry. And coming from a place like that, when I was 19, this beautiful girl came and she expressed. By now, at 19, I picked up the guitar in the Bible college. I worked really hard, practiced 7 hours every day. And I became the best musician of the Bible college. And so I gained a little bit of attention. I was also the topper in theology. I scored 100% in Hebrew. And so this beautiful girl was attracted to me, and she came and she said, I really like you. I didn't know what to do. See, when you don't know what to do, it's better to be silent. So I was silent. And then she thought maybe Benny's not, and I was also a bit shy, So she gave me this autograph book. Those days they had these autograph books where you can write your thoughts. And so she gave me that book and she told me to write my thoughts. I was only 19 and she was 18. No, she was also 19, I think, yeah. So these were my thoughts. I wrote to her, if you fall in a river, there is a boat. If you fall in a well, there is a rope. But if you fall in love, there is no hope. And when I wrote those words, she was completely shattered. And in fact, it was hard for her. But you know what I did? Instead of being in a relationship, I knew that that was not my time to be in a relationship. So I spent 7 hours every day practicing my guitar. And as a result of that, I could grow in my talent. I could use my skills as a musician to play at the Olympic Games, FIFA World Cup, Miss India, the parliaments, kings, presidents, travel the world. You see, what I invested my time at a time when it was not meant to be in a relationship, especially with the opposite sex. I could utilize my time wisely, and that gave me fruit in the future of my life. Young boys and girls, I would say that this is not the best time to fall in love with a boy or a girl. I'm not saying it is wrong, but I'm telling you it is not the best time, because what happens is all your emotions get bottled up into that relationship. Your entire time that you have freedom to gets controlled in this relationship. It's like the girl is sick in another hostel, boy automatically becomes sick in his hostel. I don't know how, that's called the viral fever, I guess. You know? Because the emotions play such a big role. Secondly, possessiveness. You know, the boy is talking to another girl, girl becomes extremely possessive. Says that, why are you talking? You're too close. Even though there's 5 feet apart, it feels like you're too close. You see, possessiveness comes into the picture. Then comes jealousy. And leave the sexual part. You think it's possible to just sit next to each other and just speak psalms? It just goes. It starts with holding hands, then it goes into the worst of the worst situations. And then what happens? Guilt comes into your life. Why all these things? Friends, you have a beautiful prime time of your life. Do not give your time away into an exclusive relationship, whether it's a boy or a girl. Utilize your time to exercise as much as you can with what you have come here to learn. Whatever subject, excel. You see, even though I was a high school dropout, I had nothing, but as soon as I asked Jesus to come into my life, as soon as I came to know the plans He has for me, He reveals these plans, I started to put my entire effort into it, practicing 7 hours every day. And today, I could be known as a musician all over the world. Don't waste your time into an untimely relationship. And at this time, most of the relationships, there's no guarantee of future. Just for 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, after that you part your ways, and then you realize, you look back and say, I wasted my time, my emotions, my money. But rather, if you're able to spend your time to educate yourself, to work into the calling that God has called you, the future is amazing. You will have no regrets. You will be able to use your time wisely. You will not get into a depression that becomes very common today. Most of the depressions are because of these relationships. You have fights, you have misunderstandings, jealousy and other things. Why? Look at my life. I have no regrets at all. I thank God for this gift of life that He has blessed me with. The opportunities that I've enjoyed. Jeremiah 29:11, dear friends. Memorize it, write it down, put it on your table or anywhere else, and remind yourself: 1, God has a plan for your life, and He knows the plan too. Secondly, His plans are good. They're not to harm you, but to prosper you. Thirdly, His plans for you are filled with hope and a future. And that is my life today. From nothing, God picked me up, put me on a map, made me a history maker. You know, some people read history, some people write history. There are some who make history. And with the help of Jesus, my life is completely transformed. Don't waste your time into all these unwanted, unnecessary things, dear friends. You have a beautiful life. You have a college to study. I didn't have that opportunity. It's a beautiful life. So I'm going to play a song on the pan flute, and then I'll close in prayer. And this song is called My Tribute by Andre Crouch. To God be the glory. Can we add the reverb, the thing, and then play the track, please? Volume up. Amen.